Welcome, welcome, welcome to this month's Deal Clinic Live. I'm really excited to have you here with us today. I am joined by our usual suspects, Tim Sanders, who is our resident investor, and Bruce Mainwaring of Bond Finance Limited. We've got a special show. Welcome to all of our guests who are here with us live. We've got quite a few, actually. So Haj, Nadia, Ravi, Vasca, Vicky, welcome, welcome, welcome. I see other people joining as well. So lovely to have you here with us. So we've got a special show for you. We haven't got an agent with us today. We are going to be reviewing our top picks. So as usual, feel free to drop your comments and questions in the chat box below if you are watching with us live. For those of you that will watch this on the recording that will be available on our YouTube channel, Sourcing Investments Limited, about a week's time, feel free to send us any questions into admin@sourcinginvestments.co.uk. Now, as I said, we've got a special show. We will be reviewing some top picks, and we would encourage interaction in the chat box so that you can see really what is on the table. We don't have the agents with us, but you will be able to reach out to them as well once you join the platform. Now, without further ado, I would like to welcome Bruce and Tim to the conversation. I'm going to share my screen. Before I do, I'm going to pin you both. Bear with me. I'm going to spotlight pin. And okay, perfect. So I'm going to share my screen. So we have three interesting deals. So this show is about profit from apartments, gentlemen. So we're going to be looking at three deals that we have with our agents on the platform. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, perfect. So this first deal that we have here, I welcome your feedback and commentary. So this is a mixed use apologies, mixed use unit. Okay, so we have 4 levels that are rented to a bank, but there's actually 2 additional levels that has got permitted development for 9 one-bed flats to be purchased. Now, the bank that rents this, so they actually rent out the basement, ground, first and second floors. It's actually rented out to Barclays Bank, and they have got this lease until secured until June 2027. So we've got another 3 years left on here. And I'd like to hear your thoughts. What are your initial thoughts on this, please, gentlemen?
Well, it's interesting because you've got that guaranteed income for the next 3 years from Barclays. You've got Barclays, which probably wouldn't mind negotiating out of this lease. So there could be other opportunities to go back in for PD on the first and second floor, and maybe even reduce the footprint of the ground floor. You're probably going to have to keep the shop front and have some sort of retail there, but there's opportunities here, and it's very much perhaps a two-phase project. Acquire the unit, build out what you've got already, and let's not muck around, waste time with and increasing your holding costs. Build out those 9 units, get them sold or get them rented out, and then at the same time potentially go in the planning for the PD on the first and second, see what you get, and then go back to Barclays and potentially negotiate the lease. I'm sure if it's empty, they don't really want empty commercial costing them money. So
Mm.
I think they'll be having their listening ears on if it saves them money.
Amazing. And I actually like the fact that you mentioned that. So this is leased to Barclays. They have already vacated the property. So there is negotiation for that. But if we just go into a little bit more detail, so thank you for that, Bruce. Really appreciate you sharing that. So if we go into a little bit more detail, we can see here that the actual property size itself is 12,276 square foot. It's currently off market, and it is slightly below market value. So it's priced here. It's been negotiated at 1,000, apologies, 1,687,000. But the fair market value is £2 million. So there is some contingency in there, but it's also negotiable further for anyone that is looking. Now, it's currently generating monthly rental income of £8,502 every month. So that's a gross yield of 5% just on that, just on the commercial aspect there. So we can see here from the details that the property is not listed, which is brilliant because it just really helps with any development potential and design that we would look at if we were to purchase this. And the agent has suggested that to purchase it as a limited company that owns the property, you would save on stamp duty tax. Now, as I mentioned, the agreed price is the 1.6 mil. That's currently generating the 8,500 comes to over 100,000 a year in rental income because there isn't any break clause. But as Bruce has rightly mentioned, if we do the 2 phases, we could look for another commercial unit to be brought in and Barclays released. Obviously, these are our opinions and our ideas. We haven't spoken to Barclays, just to put that disclaimer in there. Tim, I'd like to bring you in, if that's okay. What are your thoughts on this?
Of course. Yeah, it's because currently Barclays have just the first and second floor. There's so much scope to be able to use the third and fourth floor for various different flats, and potentially also bring some flats down and go into the ground floor or the first floor, given that Barclays are actually looking to vacate anyway. Exactly as Bruce said, sort of doing it as a 2-phase sort of approach. There's also the things like there's a service fee coming from Barclays, which is great, which adds to the yield. And obviously the 9-bed flats. I as you know, I love flats. For me, the small little flats are what I absolutely love. So having nine separate forms of income for that could then also go into some kind of service accommodation strategy going into housing associations and things like that. So there's all kinds of scope from that point of view. And the fact that it is such a big building, and there's the guaranteed rent from Barclays until 2027 anyway, that gives a lot of scope to be able to play around and have a feel for potentially all kinds of different ideas. So for me, it's very exciting.
It is exciting. It is exciting. I just wanted to. Sorry, Bruce.
Right, I've just run the mortgage costs on this. If you're going to look to buy the commercial unit and perhaps just split off the development element, and it looks like the rent will cover the mortgage costs at 70% loan to value.
Okay,
So you could buy this and you'll have no holding costs while you build out the PD element, because the rent coming in will pay off, will pay the mortgage. Obviously, if Barclays do rescind the lease, you'll then have those holding costs added back in. But at least it looks like the first phase, until you build out the nine flats, you won't have any holding costs at 70% loan to value, which is very good.
That's really good to know. That's really good to know. And I did do a little bit of due diligence. We don't have the exact location of this. You know, it is classed as West Yorkshire. I have spoken with the agent and they have let me know that it is in Halifax. That's still very wide location. But I did do a little bit of calculations on this with regards to the 9 units. So the square foot here is 12.276 across the whole unit. Now, I don't have any floor plans, but breaking that down as an average, we're looking at just over 2,000 square foot per floor when we're looking at the 2 permitted development floors there for the 9 units. So on an average, you're looking at, for floor 3 and 4 together, 4,092 square foot. So I had to take an average because, as I said, I don't have the floor plan, so I couldn't do an exact calculation. But taking those averages into consideration, that would mean each 9-bed is approximately 450 square foot for the 1 bed. Now, I did have a look at some comparables. Again, don't have an exact location. So looked at comparables where, they have similar, so 400, 450 square foot, and you're looking at approximately, the range is quite large, but you're looking at 55 to 80,000 pound for a 1-bed apartment for sale price for the resale. So on average, that is coming up to about £150 per square foot when you take into consideration that range. So you mentioned there about the mortgage, then the bill costs will probably be about 110, 150 per square foot. So you're looking at just a slight increase, but then if they include a nicer fit out, then obviously rentals could generate, well, rentals will generate more. Tim, do you have anything to come back on with that?
Yeah, I mean, as you see from the expected rent here, David has put in 600 per month for each flat, which I think is more than realistic, if not on the conservative side.
Mhm.
And obviously putting that into everything with the commercial element as well, you've got a very good cash flowing property here, with potential chances of title splitting, if you wanted to go down that route. Obviously there's costs involved with that, and the fact that you've basically got all kinds of different options for it. So for me, it's there's so much scope to do so many different things depending on each person's personality, each person's preference on risk reward, and what you'd like to do, whether you want pure cash flow or whether you want to be able to get some of your money back. For me, it's great. And just looking at the rental figures at the moment, not even taking into account the fact that the flats can rent out already with, let me just adjust that back down, already with what Barclays are bringing in, you're still, as Bruce has said, you're still covered for your monthly. Obviously, it gives you scope, and you're not up against it then. If you've got any extra lending, if you've got extra bridging and things like that you want to get on, your basics are covered for that. So for me, it's just about researching the area and finding what's what. I do know serviced accommodation, getting Airbnbs and things like that are hot at the moment. So I personally would be looking down that route to see at least if some of them I'd be able to get down the serviced accommodation route.
Amazing, amazing. And thank you for that. That really does help. And with regards to, as you both have rightly mentioned, with Barclays being in there and already paying that rent, that secured rent there, it does give a bit of breathing space with regards to the development. Excellent. Bruce, do you have anything else to add, Tim?
No, I think we've covered it all off. Obviously, you would want to do a little bit more DD on the build costs and the NGDV and the rent, but unfortunately, we don't have that information to hand. But there is a deal here, and there's plenty of different ways of skinning the cat, as they say. But yeah, so yeah, for the right client, uh, it's a good deal. It's a good deal.
Amazing, amazing.
Bruce, a quick question on the types of lenders you would use for this. Would you two have anyone in mind that might be the best candidates?
I'll be ignoring the high streets. I'll be going with the challenger banks, and you want interest only. Shawbrook will be up there on my list, definitely. I wouldn't use Interbay. Their legals are just a bit of a pain, and they put really strict debentures on limited companies. Alaka Bank, maybe Synergy. So we got at least three, depending on the levels of experience of the client. Even Together Money would lend on this, and you wouldn't really need to tick the experience box
Okay.
with Together.
Lovely. So there's lots of options. Is there, have you got any sort of range of the interest rates that you'd be
You're
expecting for
looking
this?
at 8%. I'll price it up at 8, and hopefully we can get a bit lower. But
Lovely.
I would potentially, depending on how the valuation comes back, maybe just get term lending on a 3-year loan downstairs, and then whatever the value we've got on the top bit, get perhaps some development funding on that. But I would want to, I want to get a proper valuation done on this, so we can then see what the best way to optimize the borrowing on it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And
Lovely.
then, sorry, Tim, apologies. Did you?
No. And then just on the permitted development side of things, just for everyone, so that everyone's on the same page, could you just break down the permitted development aspect of it and where that would come in for the lenders?
Okay, fine. So with development lenders, they would only really want to lend with the PD in place, because they need to know what you got permission for, what the build costs are, and therefore then they can also then look at the NGDV. Now, when you submit full planning, that goes in to the planning department, and it can take 3 to 6 months to come out. With PD, you put the application in, and they've got generally about 54 days to come back to you with a yay, nay, or an answer. But generally with PDs, you're going to get a quick yes, and it's not like planning. So all the planning rules have been changed just to try and get the economy going. And this is one of the changes which happened, I think it's 2-3 years ago now, converting commercial back to C3.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Amazing. Thank you so much for that, Bruce. And then just with regards to, the unit, the floor, should I say, apologies, that Barclays are renting out, there is a potential here that if we could secure first floor and second floor and create that and apply for more, do PD on that as well.
Yeah. And you could potentially also shrink the ground floor as well. There's lots of people out there buying large semi-commercial properties and doing exactly the same. And the reason why they're doing it is because commercial is worth less than C3. So if you get the PD and shrink the commercial down to the bare minimum, you're going to maximise your profits, because you're uplifting the value, because you're changing the usage of the building. And profit is all about changing usage with planning.
Yeah, and that's what this show is about the profit from these apartments that we could make. So, and then the potential, I just want to go back to something that Tim mentioned, which I think is really important, about having these the initial 9 beds creates the multiple streams of the income that we have from these units. So you've got then 9 potential streams coming in from income, which is important, rather than maybe one unit being held by one tenant in effect, whether that be commercial or private. Anything else, gentlemen, before we move on to the next? Can't see any questions in the chat box. Must be that we're answering all the questions in advance. Anything else before we move on to the next one? No? Okay. Yep. Tim, no, you good? Okay.
No, I was just going to say, yep, not for me at the moment. That's really all I've got on this one.
Okay, amazing. So this is actually a block of flats or apartments. I personally don't like the word flats, but there we go. That's pure, preference there. So this is a block of flats in Liverpool. Now, it's in really good condition. Just going to quickly go through to the second impression here. We have a floor plan of apartments. So you can see here, you've got the kitchen, the hallway, the living room, and the bedroom. So you can see there that they are 1 beds by the looks of that. So again,
if you click on that one, if you click on that image, it'll expand it out so we can see the whole image.
Is that better? Can you see that?
That's better. Yeah.
Yep, amazing. So you've got here, these are the this block here is actually 2 apartments already rented out in the scope of 10. So gentlemen, what are your opinions and thoughts on this with the block of 12?
Well, you've got to, when you've got blocks of flats like this, you need to be, I'm going to expect some sort of block discount if a lender is going to be lending on all 12 flats. Now, block discounts normally kick in between this, in my world, this is called a MUP, a multi-unit building. And you generally get block discounts between four and 6 flats. Um, if it's not in a strong area, you generally get block discounts around about 4. If it's in a really strong area, it'd be over 6. You start getting block discounts. Now, what is a block discount? It's basically what if the bank had to repossess this and they had to sell it all in one go to an investor, they would want some sort of block discount instead of the aggregate valuation. So generally, a block discount, I'm not a valuer, you generally get them between 5 and 15% of the aggregate valuation, depending on the area and the strength of the property. So it will be good to find out what the aggregate valuation is on this. Also, I'll be interested in the square footage. They look like they're all over 30 square meters. Do we have any floor plans? Any
Um,
sizes? Not floor plans.
think if I remember
Each one is about 45 square
45.
meters for each
Yeah.
one. Yep.
Okay, 45. Excellent. So if it's 45 square meters, in theory, they're all mortgageable individually. So is there an opportunity to title split later down the road? The problem with title splitting large blocks of flats are all the fees, because in this case you're going to have 12 valuation fees instead of 1 if you just buy it with a portfolio with a commercial loan. You've got 12 sets of solicitors' fees. You've got 12 sets of banks' fees. So you would want to run the numbers to make sure it's actually worth doing a title split. Did I see further down here that 2 are rented out and 10 are rented out to a housing association?
Yes.
Yeah.
So two are currently tenanted and they're generating 430 per calendar month on regular ASTs. And then the other 10 are being tenanted out to housing associations until the 1st of June. So that's just expired. I'm presuming that's this year. The document doesn't say the year, but I'm presuming that is this year based on when it was uploaded. And the market rental is around 620 for a regular AST.
Okay, so if there's any housing association there at all, the first thing I do is I always ask for a copy of the lease. If anything's not an AST, I always ask for a copy of the lease, and I get that pre-agreed with the lender before submitting any applications, because you want to be looking at the break clauses, how long the lease is, what is the tenant profile? Is it single mothers? Is it asylum seekers? Is it ex-offenders? And as a landlord, you want to be doing this due diligence anyway to see who's actually living in your property. Let's just assume the housing association's still there and the lease is still there for another year or so. I would probably go to Hampshire Trust Bank on this one, and probably Lenco. They'll both offer 75% loan to value, and they've both got reasonable terms currently right now. Obviously, if the housing association isn't there, and it's basically got 2 flats rented out, and the other 10 are currently vacant, I would then probably go to more retail-y like buy-to-let lenders. If you're renting out on ASTs, someone like Paragon would potentially lend on this as well.
Okay, okay. And would that be what kind of percentages are we looking at there, interest rates? And would that be highly different for our overseas investors?
Okay, so you'll probably Paragon, you'd be round about low, you'd be low sixes.
Okay.
So that's if it's vacant, those 10 are vacant and two are occupied. If the housing association's in there, UK National, Lenco at mid sixes. And if it's an overseas national buying this, probably Hampshire Trust Bank at low sevens. So you can see it's slightly more expensive for the overseas nationals, basically because the risk profile's bigger.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the rent looks like, what's the purchase price of this one, Bonnie?
This one is 880,000.
880. All right, and we've got a monthly rent of 762 times 12. So we've got a 10% yield on it. So it should stack up at 75% loan to value with all those lenders, especially on a 5-year fix.
Amazing, amazing, brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Bruce. Tim, anything to add? Any insights that you have from this one?
Yeah, I've run the numbers a little bit on this one. Exactly what Bruce has just said. It's a nice 10% yield. And putting those numbers into my lovely spreadsheet calculator for my stress tests. Yeah, you're making a good couple of thousand a month from your cash flow from this. So your true ROI and your forecast ROI is around somewhere between 7.5% and 11%, depending on your specific criteria. So for me, the cash flow, taking into account letting fees and operating expenses, things like that, my cash flow would be 2,500 a month from this one, which would be nice and healthy. Plenty of room for error. We can see it's already been renovated and redone to a high standard at the beginning of last year. So there'd be very little cost in terms of doing any uplift and things like that. So yeah, for me it's much more straightforward, this one, than the other one. A lot less potential. If someone's a little bit newer to the game, this one might be a bit better than the other one. One thing I didn't mention for the mixed use, there was on it that if you purchase the limited company that holds it, what I didn't mention on there, that could save someone a good 65,000-70,000 pounds on deal number one if they were to purchase the limited company that currently owns that property. So that was something we didn't touch on too much on deal one.
Yeah.
But
the agent
but
did
going,
actually, the agent did put that in there, but yes, it's important to mention that.
yeah, because that's a nice big saving there that people can then put that back into the renovation costs and things. But going back to this deal, this Liverpool one, yeah, for me, it seems fairly straightforward. There doesn't seem any complications and anything where people would need a little bit more knowledge. This is straight down the line, I think, for me. So yeah, very nice.
I
Brilliant.
agree. I would just like to firm up about the housing association bit. That's the only bit I would like to firm up on this deal. Are they there? If they are there, can I have a copy of the lease, please?
Just to see their schedule. Bruce, with regards to purchasing this, how are lenders in regards to whether, say as an example, I'm a brand new investor, have no landlord experience at all. Are they okay with things like that, or do I need to have had a track record?
It's a bit lumpy for a first-time buyer, first-time landlord. I think you may be capped at 65% on this one. For a first-time landlord, really depending on other. Because I've got to use commercial lenders, and when it's commercial lenders, it's not like you're saying, do you earn £25,000 or not? They're weighing up the whole deal. So, do you live locally? You know, is this going to be on a guaranteed rent coming in? What is your income? Is your income enough if you've got any voids, to cover off a few monthly payments if you've got a couple of flats not let. So I would say definitely 65%. And like, depending on for first time buyer, first time landlord, for me to push that up higher to 70 or even 75, I, I really need to I need to understand the client's profile. But I would definitely say 65, maybe push it up higher.
Okay, brilliant. That's good to know. And you mentioned there briefly about how close, like the vicinity that they live near the
Yeah,
activity.
yeah,
What's the impact of that? Just so that investors understand where
yeah,
it comes from.
yeah. It's not this game. This is more with the commercial lenders. They're looking for the positive and negative, and you know, if you're nearby, if there's a problem with the property, you can pop round very quickly, very, very easy, and you can sort out that problem. So it's just a factor when you're just weighing the pros and cons of a first time buyer, first time landlord, um, buying a lumpy 12-bed mud. It's a bit of a beast.
It is a bit of a beast. It is a bit of a beast, but I need to be the advocate here and just make sure, devil's advocate, and make sure that we ask the questions just so that our investors understand where the capabilities are here.
Yeah,
And obviously, lenders are looking for risk, aren't they? That's what they're really looking to do is manage risk.
yeah, exactly. And obviously, it's going to be more due diligence if you don't have the experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for that. Tim, anything else?
Just very quickly, that we've got a couple of videos of these ones. If you wanted to showcase the videos, I don't know whether that's something that's worth doing.
Okay, let's see if I can play this. Bear with me one moment. Can you hear this? No,
We can
no
see it. We'd see. I don't think there's volume
there's
just
no
yet.
volume on anyway.
So they're all in pretty good nick. There wouldn't be any renovation cost needed.
The document did say that they were newly refurbed. They look clean.
Size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always important to check them. Okay, amazing.
Lovely. Yeah.
I mean, perfect for one person, one unit, one bed.
So for me, these look very nice for any kind of supported living angles. Yeah, very crisp.
Definitely. Okay, perfect.
Lovely.
I think what we'll do is we'll move on to deal 3. Can you gentlemen see this?
Yes, lovely. So the 10-bed HMO.
No, I believe.
Sorry, 10-bed BnB.
BnB, yeah.
Sorry,
I believe it's a BnB.
10-bed BnB.
That's HMOs. Tim's got HMOs on the mind there. Okay, amazing. So some thoughts.
Okay, so the first thing I would do on this is do a Nimbus search on the titles, just to check the planning usage. Because what you would expect is C1 planning on this. So C1 is B&B hotels, C2 is nursing homes, C3 is single dwellings, C4 is HMOs, and sui generis is basically Latin for everything else. So I would expect to see C1 planning. And I would also want to see the existing accounts of this business, basically. Because any lender would be wanting to see what this B&B business actually produces.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of lenders who fund C1 properties, Alica would be there. They're a good challenger bank. They would do 70, maybe even 75%. No, they're capped at 70% for hotels. But yeah, I would want to see the accounts because with B&Bs, is underwritten completely different to a single let or an HMO. A single let or an HMO, they're going off the AST income going forward because that's a pretty reliable, solid income going forward. Where if you've got a new B&B, they want to look at the historical income of the property and then make their projections from there onwards as well. Also, experience is important. You're not going to be a first-time buyer or first-time landlord buying this. And you're also going to be struggling if you are an overseas national. This purchase needs to go to someone who's got some experience in the short let sector.
Okay, that's good to know. So this is actually, thank you for that, because that gives us a lot of context around what we're looking at. And this is actually a grade listed. This is I think it's grade 1, grade 2, grade 2 listed building. You can see there. And I don't know if you saw those pictures. Sorry, go on.
Yeah, I'm not too fussed about grade 2. It's grade 1 you want to stay away from, where you need to get permission from whoever it is, even to move a light switch. Grade 2 should be fine. This one, experience is key.
Okay. That is good to know. Nadia has put in the comment box, does experience running renter SAs count for commercial C1 lending?
Potentially, yeah. Potentially. If we can demonstrate your books, this is my portfolio. This is the money coming in, this is the money coming out on a rent to rent basis. There's your experience. Yeah. How do you get your bookings? Do you use this platform or do you use this platform? So again, you're just demonstrating your experience. How you do it is up to you because this is commercial lending. It's not, do you earn £25,000 per month? It's looking at the whole picture.
Okay, that's great. I think Nadia's typing away in the chat box. I'll wait to see her question. She has put, how long do you need this experience for? That's a great question, actually, Bruce. How long do you need to have that experience for? And
I would say the lender would want to see 2 years experience. So then you can then give the lender 2 years worth of books. Again, with this property, I would like to see 2 years worth of books.
Okay, great question, Nadia. Thank you so much. With regards to this gentleman, this property is actually, it's got 10 bedrooms, 10 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. Property size is just over 4,500 square foot. It is off market. Purchase price is 750,000, but fair market value is 850. Now the price is negotiable. Gross yield is to be confirmed. So I mean, it's a beautiful home. I'm calling it a home. I'm not going to lie. When I looked at this, I was like, oh my God, I would love to live there and have that for myself. What are your opinions on that with regards to scope for commercial to residential. Bruce, we've looked at this and looked at potentially how we could split this. We just for the viewers that are watching either live or on replay, we are looking to do a title splitting episode further down the line. So we looked at this, didn't we, Bruce, and looked to see it isn't great for a title splitting exercise.
No. Can you pull up could you pull up the floor plans?
Plans, yep, just scrolling to that now. So you've got the floor plans here. Can you see those?
Yes, I can. So we want to get an architect on this, but it looks like potentially the first and second floor could be made into 4 one-bed flats. Now downstairs, I'm not too sure what you can do, but I'm quite interested in the garage. What can you do with the garage? The garden room you would have to properly seal up due to EPCs and stuff. But you potentially get 6 one beds and some sort of something at the back there, so that there is you could hold it, seek the planning, and take it from there. You couldn't do much with extensions and stuff like that. I would want, because the grade 2, so I would want to know a little bit more information about the grade 2 element and what are the restrictions.
And the grounds look stunning, so they may have restrictions on not necessarily the grounds itself, but the view, how it would impact the view itself.
Yeah, so I would want a bit more information.
For sure. Brilliant. Thank you so much. And before I come to Tim, what about lending on this, Bruce?
If Alica would be my first port of call at 70%, depending on what the accounts are, I would still, or you could get some sort of bridging on it if you did want to do a planning game. Together Money would be up there on my list at 70% of the purchase price. But you would want, if you are going, planning takes time, and that creates holding costs, which holding costs eats into your profits. So I may want to say, maybe exchange with delayed completion, with the vendor be happy with that, to get you time, to get your planning in, get the planning in place, and then you complete when the usage is changed. Is the vendor keen for that? Well, if you offer them a premium, so yeah, there's something here, but I'm just a mortgage man.
No, you're not just a mortgage man, Bruce. You're full of wisdom. So with regards to, I just want to come back to something that you said was really key, I think, to just dive into a little bit, was that you mentioned the lenders would want to see the books. What is it that they're looking for? Obviously, they're looking for profit, but where is that threshold generally where a lender will say yes and no when we're just looking at, when you're looking at just the books?
Okay, well, any set of company accounts, you're going to have a balance sheet, you're going to have a profit and loss, and it's basically if there is a mortgage on this property already, you add back in those costs of the mortgage payment, and then you look at the effect of the net profits of it, and is there enough money at the end of the year to support a mortgage of X? So it's the company accounts or books which will be key if they want to continue using this as an Airbnb.
Okay, amazing. Thank you for that. Tim, anything from yourself?
My mind's been going crazy with this one. I've actually, I've been thinking of this, that, and the other with this. So quite ironically, in this area, I had a meeting with someone this morning, about turning one of my places into an Airbnb in this particular area. So I've actually got some fresh numbers that will work quite well with this.
Right.
So assuming we were renting these out as individual rooms at this point, we were talking about £100 a night per room for this, and assuming it would be a 75% occupancy rate, let's be realistic, that would bring in about 90,000 a year, which is giving you about 7,500 a month in your income and your revenue. And then once you take into account your fees, your mortgages, your management agent, let's say you've got someone that's dealing with the bookings, which we would pay something like 15% to that, and then some damages and things like that, you're looking at easily £2,600 a month cash flow a month as your profit, and that's conservative at 75%. And we were just talking about the fact that there is a lot of tourist hotspots in this area, and it's away from the city centre. So a lot of people like to come for a weekend away or somewhere where it's nice and relaxing, rather than being right in the middle of the city. So with the garden, with everything that this does, with the sunroom, there's so much potential here that this could be a really nice area for people to come. So that's one point that I was thinking of, and that is going to create ROIs of around 12 to 14%, and it's a yield of around 11-12%. Thinking of 75% occupancy. Another couple of things that I have is that I do know that there are film studios and things in the area, so being able to rent this house out, firstly as a set for potential TV shows, with such good space, with such a large amount of rooms, would be perfect for them to be able to film and shoot different types of TV elements, and also have room for the equipment and the cameras and all that stuff, as well as the large garden and things like that. But also to be able to have it as a whole house let for production companies. So let's say you've got a makeup department or a wardrobe department that need housing for their particular guys during a 2-week shoot. They would come in and be able to use that, and basically you would go, right, you guys get the whole house, boom, there you go. And TV and film, they pay premiums for this kind of thing, so to be able to use that would be great. So that's where my mind has gone also, from that side of things. And then, as you say, potentially looking at any kind of title splits or anything like that is not so well. I think 1-bed flats with the garage, I think, would be definitely another option as well. So my mind's gone on to all kinds of different ones. But yes, from what you were saying, Bon, it's a lovely house, so I'd love to live there.
I know, but you've actually sparked an idea in myself, basically. And thank you so much about the movie studios and renting out to film sets and things like that, because that's actually that's a great idea. I actually thought when you mentioned something about how scenic it is and calm, it would make a great retreat or a spa location as well, because of the land that is around it. I remember going to Ragdale many years ago, and it's very similar to that, where it's acres of land. You can't see another human being other than those that are there at the spa. So that would be potential. Obviously, people would need to do their due diligence around what that would look like from a profitable aspect, but it is a great property. Thank you for that, Bruce. Anything else with regards to this one?
Yeah, I'm done pretty much on this one. It's just I would want to just get hold of the accounts and do a Nimbus search just to check the planning, just to really firm up on the usage. But it's a another big lumpy beast. 10 bedrooms is not small.
It's not small. And with regards to, again, this would need somebody that has had serious apologies. That this would be somebody that needs that has had serious experience, right?
Yeah, experience in this sector.
Yeah.
They would want any lender wants it, because this is full on commercial.
Yeah.
Because it's literally a trading business.
Yeah. Amazing. Okay. I don't think we have any other comments in the chat box. So I'm going to stop sharing. Amazing. It has been a wonderful episode. I really thank you both. So for those, thank you to all of our live investors here with us. So we have Farouk, Jeffrey, Haj, Henry, Liz, Luis, Nadia, Salim, and Vasco. I really want to thank you for spending your time here with us, and for Nadia, your questions and interactions. Really appreciate you on that. For anybody else that wishes to, it's always the way when we jump out of these meetings, we then have a question and think, oh my God, I wish I had asked. That's absolutely okay. Feel free to email us at admin@sourcinginvestments.co.uk. Haj says, thank you so much for the session. Very informative. I'm really glad that that's helped, Haj. So without further ado, I would thank all of our guests live and those watching on the replay. Gentlemen, I would thank you both again. So Tim and Bruce, thank you for your time to sit here with me and go through those deals. And also for our agents who are on there who diligently put these deals on the platform so that our investors can benefit from these as well. Without further ado, I wish you all an amazing day and month ahead, and I look forward to the next show.